the past, the present, and the future of competition and non-competition climbing. The Queen. She won gold at the Olympics, getting first place in both bouldering and lead climbing. First woman to on-site 8C, and done it twice in 2 days. Perfectionist and ambitious, many ask themselves what makes her so special. You already know who I'm talking about. The best competition climber in the world, irrespectively of gender, the one and only Janja Garnbret. Welcome back to Climbing Psychology. I'm Allegra Maguire, and today I'm going to give you a concrete example of what mental toughness really is and why that's what, in my opinion, makes Janja so special.
Why is Janja the best?
Because she's the best. I don't know.
When I used to compete, we would go to Slovenia to train to be with the best and to try to understand what made them so good. This is like training is what they do. And I think the secret is there is no secret when it comes to what makes them so good. You know, they just work hard.
And that's a lie. It's just simply false. Any professional athlete works extremely hard. And I can say this for sure because working extremely hard is a prerequisite to become a professional athlete.
For me, having fun is a recipe to success.
And again, that's not quite it. Like, of course, having fun is important. But eventually there will be days in which the mood will be bad, the condition will be bad, and training will be hard. So the real question is, how can you still be having fun when the situation is anything but fun? This is actually a skill that needs to be trained or developed. And it also has a lot to do with mental toughness. If you already listened to my intervention on mental toughness for the Lattice Training podcast, you might see some repetitive information. But this time, I will explain it while taking concrete examples from Janja Garnbret. Mental toughness in the psychology scientific literature. It's a very famous concept for being super used with very poor understanding of its meaning. The first concrete definition of mental toughness came from 2002 with John's and colleagues study that actually started with interviewing elite athletes. Mental toughness is a natural or developed psychological edge that enables you to generally cope better than others with the many demands, competition, training, lifestyle that sport places on a performer, and specifically be more consistent and better than others in remaining determined, focused, confident, and in control under pressure. At the moment, the most prominent model of mental toughness is the 4 C's model: commitment, control, confidence, and challenge. Let's start with commitment. The first dimension is achievement orientation. It means that you're prepared to work really hard and that you don't easily get distracted. We know that Janja is incredibly audacious.
And in 2019, she tried the unthinkable, to win every bouldering World Cup in a season.
There are 6 bouldering World Cups a year, and I wondered if it's possible to win them all.
The possibility of sweeping a season just because it is so difficult.
Janja Garnbret, there she goes.
It shouldn't really be possible.
The position she needs to be in for the top. She is loving climbing in front of this crowd.
This is just, no, it's not possible. But I had the thought. So yeah, the thought already means a lot.
And this is obviously linked to her goal orientation. We already know from the literature that there are two main goal orientations: task orientation and competition orientation. Task orientation is the most functional for improvement, but competition orientation can be useful if you can manage it. Actually, it is what enables the clutch phenomenon, which is the increase of performance when under pressure. Janja obviously has both at very high levels.
I think like people saw competitiveness in me, like that fire I had for competitions, so they raised me into a competitor. I mean, I started climbing when I was 7.
Let's now dig into the challenge aspect. The first dimension is risk orientation. We know that Janja is an extremely dynamic climber.
I love coordination moves, jumps and that kind of style. So yeah, I love to compete in bouldering.
And dynamic moves are much more risky than static moves. But in this case, risk orientation is much more than just this. It actually refers to the ability of not being afraid to try something new and very different. And I think we see it in Janja, because now she's trying La Dura Dura, which is a 9B plus. And no female ever done a 9B plus so far. And she doesn't have as much experience on the rock as on plastic. But still, she's trying. And she's very confident in doing so. Learning orientation refers to the ability to reflect and learn from every experience that you have.
I wouldn't say that it was bad that I had to train speed, because I definitely got something from speed that maybe I wouldn't get it from like bouldering or lead. So it was not bad that I had to train speed at all.
I think that confidence is radiating from each of Janja's pores. But we need to check what happens in the moments of vulnerability to see how robust this confidence is. So I think we have the perfect case study for this. And it's Janja's speedruns at the Olympics.
I had the most terrible qualifiers ever. I came back from my second speed run and I was crying like so hard. Like Roman looked at me and he said, "Oh wow, that's going to be tough." And he was laughing. He was laughing after my 2 worst speed runs. I said like I trained speed for nothing. That I trained 2 years to have 10 seconds on the wall. Like what the F was that? So actually the switch came back after I went back on the like warm up wall before bouldering, and I kind of knew that it's not the end of the world if I had two worst speed runs, and it was qualifiers, so it was not final, so it was all good. But yeah, after that I knew that I was ready. I knew how hard I trained for that.
Janja also talks a lot about her relationship with her coach and teammates.
And yeah, I think like we are a great team. We are all friends. We get along really well, and there's no, like in the team, when there's no competition, there's no tension between us. And also at the competition, we always cheer for each other. We have observation together, we laugh together, so there's no tension. But of course, when we have a competition, you want the best for yourself and of course the best for the others.
And finally, we can look into the control factor of mental toughness. This factor is big in Janja because she's a perfectionist.
I take bouldering competitions more for fun. Of course, I want to do well and I want to be perfect.
If you looked at my video on perfectionism, you know that perfectionism is a double-edged blade.
I'm a perfectionist, like now, especially in climbing, because I want to improve like every day, all the time. I want to be stronger than I was like the previous years, the previous days. So yeah, that can be like really detrimental to your performance, because you want perfection so much that you make mistakes because you want perfection too much. I don't know if that makes sense, but I've not been patient when I had to be, but I'm learning that slowly, to be patient, that every stuff cannot happen like right away, that you need to kind of work for it a little bit and be patient, and then it will come faster than if you are like just perfectionist and you want everything like straight away.
I believe we can see some examples of emotional control in the way that she manages expectations.
I feel expectations from others, but I don't care because like everybody will have an opinion on what you do. So the best thing you can do is do what you want to do. So so yeah, I definitely feel like expectations of others and the pressure of others. But I'm trying not to let that get to me, because I try to do what I want to do. Like I keep repeating that, and I know that it's annoying, but it's true. Because like if you always do what others want you to do, then you will never be happy with what you want to do. So yeah, the best thing to do is just to do what you want to do.
For life control, we saw it a bit shaking during the pandemic. In the movie The Wall Climbed for Gold, she talks about how her anxiety levels raised because she wasn't allowed to go outside. Anxiety is the other phase of maladaptive perfectionism. And so it could be that she's concealing her anxiety because of her perfectionism.
That's the question I don't like for the interviews. Like, how did you feel?
Okay. How did you feel? Besides terrible.
But who knows? It's just my hypothesis. And as every hypothesis, it needs more testing. So I think I made a good case in saying that Janja has a lot of mental toughness and that it participates a lot to her success. But I think this is a particularly important thing to consider when we're referring to the Slovenian climbing team. It's not only that they work hard. Their training schedule seems to be really strict, and only those who have the abilities to cope with this immense level of stress can actually survive. That's why I think the Slovenian team is so strong. Again, the survivor bias. After the Olympics, Janja experienced a severe burnout.
There was like this moment of depression or like, how can I say, like I wasn't motivated at all. I didn't climb for 3 weeks after the Olympics because I just wasn't motivated. Like I was like, what am I doing? What should I do now? I like just couldn't imagine to go climbing and to try hard because I don't know, I felt mentally and physically exhausted. I just felt like exhausted, and that's actually a normal thing. And I realized that you just have to wait for that motivation to come back, that new goals come back.
And no, it's not just a normal state and you just need to wait. There are actually many examples in which athletes do not recover after burnout. In fact, she said it was the very first time that it happened to her. The fact that she didn't even have a name for the situation, and the fact that she agreed with her team, with her coach, to do all the World Cups after the Olympics, these are all elements that shows me that the Slovenian team is not really helping or preparing the athletes to cope with these levels of stress. They're just expected to survive. I hope you found this video interesting. If you're interested in checking out how high your mental toughness is, check out the link in the description. There is a quick and free test that you can take. Let me know your results in the comments. Do you have some specific strong or weak point? In the meantime, I'll see you in the next video and stay psyched.